Top of the SportsMax Zone for this Monday. History created at the Sir Vivian Richards Stadium in Antigua on Sunday as the West Indies and South Africa played to the first ever tie in a women's one-day international. The West Indies went on to win the match via a super over to deny the South Africans a clean sweep of the 5-match series. Now electing to bat, the West Indies posted 192 for 5 from their 50 overs, led by maiden ODI half-century from 24-year-old Jamaican Rashada Williams. Experienced Barbadian Hayley Matthews also got among the runs. She made 48, chasing 193 to win. The South Africans were cruising with a 111-run opening stand between Lizelle Lee, who top scored with 61, and Tasmin Britt's 48. However, the 23-year-old Ghanese off-spinner Shanetta Grimmond triggered a middle-order collapse with a career-best 4 for 33, while Deandra Dottin bowled brilliantly in the 49th and the super over to help the Caribbean women to a dramatic victory. The South Africans were limited to 6 in the super over, and although Dottin was run out first ball, Matthews and Shadeen Nation held their nerve to complete the victory. Commentator Vernon Springer was on location to see history being made, and he joins us now. Vernon, it's been a disappointing series for the West Indies, but high drama on the final day. How much hurt was taken away for the overall series with what happened yesterday for the West Indies?
History was created, and we also saw the 15th West Indies ODI captain in Deandra Dottin in the field at Sir Vivian Richards Stadium, and in also part of history and winning the first game of the series for Cricket West Indies. So I think all goes well in terms of a captaincy record for Cricket West Indies. But you saw a vibrant West Indies team with a new attitude completely. Yeah. My standout player for the West Indies team would have been Rashada Williams, who scored 78 not out. And Rashada Williams would have batted during this series 3 times. 421 minutes at the crease. Her first game, she would have batted for 109 minutes, scored 37 from 79 balls. Second game, 42, 90 balls, 139 minutes. Third game, 78 not out, 178 minutes, 138 balls. So in all, she would have faced 307 balls and came out with a healthy average of 78.50 with 157 runs. So she would have been the standout batter for Cricket West Indies out of the series. The bowler, who I thought would have been impressed, would have been Toyana Joseph, who bowled some 29.4 overs, 4 maidens, 97 runs, 5 wickets. A left-arm spinner from St. Lucia, who started as a seamer way back in 2017 and has really bowled with good control. So I think for Courtney Walsh, would feel very satisfied that these 2 young players from the West Indies A emerging section would have broken into the senior team ranks. Shanetta Grimmond also held her own. There were only 2 half-centuries, one by, like I said, Rashada Williams and Deandra Dottin, as compared to the South Africans who scored 6 half-centuries. So when you look at the percentage of dot balls, Marion Lance, this again was a very high proportion for Cricket West Indies. 1,102 dot balls in the 5 games, compared to South Africa's 778 balls in a period of time.
Yeah, you said two things. That I want to ask you about, Vernon. You highlighted the fact that Deandra Dottin took over the captaincy from Anisa Mohammed, and you also said that the team appeared more energized. Are those 2 things connected?
My view, based on what we saw yesterday, Deandra Dottin captaincy was more aggressive. And went from the 100 and would have been playing among some of these ladies who would have been playing for South Africa, you could have seen a matter of intent and more talking taking place. Saying that also, even yesterday in the last 5 overs, and I think it's something that Cricket West Indies coaching staff will have to make sure that they continue to enforce into the West Indies women team. West Indies were appealing yesterday for most of the times leg before wicket. While they were appealing, South Africans were running. This is something that I feel that the West Indian fielders are going to have to pay attention to in terms of game awareness. Because even yesterday, West Indies could have won the game without even the game being tied. There were a number of situations even in the last 5 overs where had the folks inside the 25-yard circle been a lot more sharper, paying attention in terms of what would have been happening, could have maybe upset the apple cart. But I guess this comes with experience. This comes in terms of maturity. Could look at the South African team under the captain Neva Nika, who picked up the most wickets for the South African team, didn't bat all that well in the series. In the field placings for the West Indian batters, Hayley Matthews and the Deandra Dottin and Shedi Nation, you could see that they studied West Indies' strengths and they forced the West Indies to maybe come up with a different shot. And most of the times, the West Indians would have gave their hand away.
Springer, you spoke about coach being very pleased with the youngsters. You mentioned Rashada Williams, also Shanetta Grimmon. But what would coach say to these senior players? Because the point that you just mentioned about appealing and, South Africans running between the wickets, we would think that the senior players would know better, right?
Like I said, it's a pressurized situation. And for some of these young players playing in the team, to be a new model for them. So like I said, you can go back to the drawing board and begin to learn to understand game awareness. South Africa, the more seasoned team, is a more experienced team. So you have people like Liz Lee, Wolfart, and Magnum DePries, who led the batting in that area. So they're more experienced than some of the younger West Indians in the team. What I think needs to happen, and I'm just looking from being here in Antigua and Barbuda and covering the series, Pakistan, and now South African series, that I think that player management is also going to be important in terms of how we rest some of the senior players and how we go about preparing them for the series.
Yeah.
And I've observed a couple of things which I just feel that we have to work a little bit more on the technical aspects of the game. Yes, you could be fit, but the bottom line is that we're preparing cricketers. If we're preparing cricketers, we have to make sure that the technical aspects of the game, what we have to be concentrating on, and I want to see more awareness of the technical aspects being worked on.
Right. Can we touch a bit now on Hayley Matthews? We saw her batting lower down in the order, number 4 in the 5th ODI, and she was able to get among the runs, 48.
Spend some time at the crease, and when I spoke to you guys at the end of the 4th One Day International, I said that this is something that I personally feel that she has to talk to herself about. And I'm sure Courtney Walsh and Robert Samuels, the batting coach, would have been saying that to her. Spend some time at the crease. Spend some time at the crease. In fact, when you look at the South African batters, in terms of Liz Lee. Liz Lee came to the Caribbean. She was given a specific role, which is stay in and bat. Laura Wolfart, same thing. And then you had Magnum DePries, came in on the back end of a couple of games, showed that maturity. If you don't have your captain, who is the most experienced player in the team, Stephanie Taylor, it means that more responsibility has to be placed on Deandra Dottin and also Hayley Matthews. There are a few technical areas that I feel Matthews will sort of have to work on. That 48 yesterday, I think it would give her inspiration now to know she has to go back during the rest period, continue technically to work on her game. One is playing the ball, especially on the offside off of the back foot. Rather than putting away, she has to get a lot closer to the ball. And 2, she's a very good driver of the ball. She has to back herself to know that, listen, if I get to the pitch of the ball, I can hit the ball inside out, over cover, or over mid-on, over mid-off, confidently. Many times I thought that she was hesitant. I think that would have been a lack of confidence. But that 48, it's a Vibrated Stadium. I think it will inspire.
Yeah, and speaking about confidence, I get the idea that Deandra Dottin, knowing that she was entrusted with the captaincy, realized that she had to step up and, of course, do what she had to do to get her team across the line. Do you get the sense that with more responsibility being put on Deandra Dottin, we're even seeing the best of her? Because we know what she can do. But I felt as if when she played this 5th ODI, we saw a little extra from her from what we saw in the previous matches.
Well, he maybe might have just read the right attack and said, hey, we're coming in for injured Anisa Mohammed, and this is your time now. Maybe you have had aspirations of captaining the West Indies team. Let's see what you have to offer. And like I said, what a different energy. She's a natural athlete in the field, so you don't have to worry about that. So you know where you're going to come from. What I was impressed about yesterday was her bowling. I thought that the 3rd ODI game, personally felt with the overcast conditions at the British cricket ground that Deandra Dottin should have been bowling. We saw yesterday her experience, how she took pace off of the ball in bowling to the South Africans. She bowled slow balls, she was aggressive.
Yeah.
And you saw that which you didn't see in the 4 games before. So I think this all goes well for us. Plus, the selection team now gonna have a headache on their hand. Because by the time a Stephanie Taylor comes back and you have a Deandra Dottin and you have an Anissa Mohammed fit, how are you going to juggle around that? But Tina's put her hand up. She brought a different energy. She attacked more than Anissa Mohammed the ODI game. So you really saw that. And she saw some pressure and a belief. I'll give you one situation very quickly, Mario. I'm sure you picked it up. It was a situation when Chanel Henry was bowling. I think 12 runs came out of her over. It might have been the third over of her spell. And coming back to bowl the fourth over, was a conversation in our commentary booth as to whether she was going to continue. And I said, knowing Dottin, she's going to back up, give her an opportunity. Now, had that been Anissa Mohammed, earlier clock, you know that Chanel Henry would have been out of the attack. But Dottin trusted it up and said, hey, I'm going to give you one more over. And the next fourth over that she bowled was the maiden. Sometimes you just need confidence. And your captain sometimes just have to believe in you.
Yeah.
And Dottin is that person.
Yeah. In 30 seconds, Vernon, we have seen this West Indies team win just one series in the last 8. So the record isn't very good. But you've identified some talent in this current squad. And, you know, we know that Stephanie Taylor and Hayley Matthews, Deandra Dottin have been the most prominent players globally for the West Indies. Are you seeing the prospects of newer players coming in and beginning to share some of the load to help the West Indies improve their result records?
Fit West Indies team, Mario Lance, is going to be critical. So you have a Brittany Cooper, 2 Knights who are injured right now as we speak. We still have Campbell out, who is injured. So the future looks bright. But once the Knights come back, we have to figure out in which one they want to open with. I personally feel that Williams has made a claim now that she's going to be the opening batter for the West Indies women team. So we just need to figure out which night we're going to put in there. And we have a Brittany Cooper coming back. I think that is going to bring more inspiration to the team. We still have a Campbell and Stephanie Taylor. So a fit West Indies team with the young talent around, I think they can be able to manage the players a little better rather than having to be beating up on some of the senior players who've been there for a little while. So Courtney Ward for the qualifiers. He's going to have some exciting people coming back. I hope that they come back and rebound back very quickly. That we manage them properly before we go after the qualifiers, because I think they're planning a tour just before the qualifiers. It might mean that a 20-man squad might travel, which might give them a little bit more scope to try some more things.
All right, Vernon, thanks for talking to us. Vernon Springer there, he did commentary on the West Indies series against the South Africans and Marat. A good end to the series for the West Indies, but we still can't hide from the fact that they lost the series 4-1.
No, and I felt as if, nothing that you can do in one particular match can make us feel, because we like to talk about turning points and we like to think, all right, it's up from here. I mean, I'm happy to see Hayley Matthews get among the runs. I'm happy to see Deandra Dottin stepped up. But I just wish that all these things occurred before. Like we actually put up a fight and it wasn't just down to the last. But that's just it for me.
That wraps up our opening segment talking cricket here on the SportsMax Zone. And we'll be back. Lovely cricket on SportsMax, of course, and SportsMax 2, and the SportsMax app. You catch the action Tuesday, 2 a.m., 3 Eastern Caribbean time. Hungary versus Portugal, followed by the Netherlands against Austria at 4 a.m., 5 Eastern Caribbean time on SportsMax 2. The European Cricket League ends on the 8th of October.